Here we go. All right. Well, welcome everybody. I want to say Happy New Year to everybody. Wendy and I are both have been so excited about this call and just starting off the new year. And I know it's been a little fuzzy for some of us, and yet it's coming. And you're right exactly where you need to be right now to move forward. I just want to say that. And we're super excited to share with you tonight. And I want to give you just kind of some words of encouragement as we're sharing. Stay present, because I really believe what we're going to be sharing with you tonight is very powerful. And I believe that if you stay present to it and if you take some notes on it, it really can help you move forward in a very powerful way into the new year. So as Wendy and I put on the flyer, we're going to be talking about mindset, and then we're also going to be talking about our vision, and we're going to be talking about strategy and action. And those are all really important things when it comes to moving forward. So I get to talk to you about something that I'm so incredibly passionate about, and that is your mindset. I have a master's in psychology. This has been something that is meaningful to me for a long time. I've always wanted to understand people. I've always wanted to understand what makes people tick and just to learn from them. And so this is a topic that I love sharing on. And so it has been, for a long time in my life, but I will say it's been extremely relevant over the past few months because I kind of went into a funk last year, like a big one. And I was saying some things to myself that really were not helpful in moving me forward. So I'm going to be sharing from a place of some deep vulnerability about that, and hope that what I share with you and what I've discovered is really going to help you, because I think we all get stuck and sometimes we don't think about what we're saying to ourselves. So I want to ask you, and you don't have to answer this question, it's more of a hypothetical question, but how much of your thoughts and your beliefs do you believe are under your control? Just think about that for a second. We have both subconscious and conscious thoughts. And I'm going to talk about the difference in a second. 95% of our thoughts are subconscious. That means that we're really not listening to them. They're on a deeper level, right? But here's the kicker. They run our lives. And so it's important to pay attention to some of those things that we're saying to ourselves. We're very aware of our conscious thoughts, right? Those are in the forefront. We're actively involved in those thoughts. But many of our thoughts are subconscious and they just go completely unnoticed. So it's this constant, your subconscious thoughts is this kind of constant stream of thinking that goes on day in, day out. And sometimes we have a hard time turning it off at night, but it might look like you're walking down the street and your subconscious mind just jumps from thing to thing to thing. So you may be thinking, oh, gross, somebody put gum on the ground. Wow, my shoes are really dirty. I need to do something about that. That sun feels so good on my face. Oh, look, oh, there's my friend from, that I met at the gym the other day. Oh my gosh, look at that car. Looks like it was in an accident. Wait a second. I need to fill the air in my tires. Okay, so that one subconscious thought we brought to the forefront because we need to take action on it. So we're capable of pulling those thoughts forward, but there's a couple steps that we can take to make that happen. And the good news is that you really can change how you think. You can change your perception. You can change your life by bringing some of these subconscious through into your awareness, because what you directly think, what you think has a direct influence on how you feel, and that has a direct influence on how you behave, which has a direct influence on the results you see in your life. So your thoughts lead to your feelings, which leads to your behavior, which leads to the results that you see. So if you want to change something in your life, it all starts with our thoughts. So, for example, if you think that you're a failure, You'll feel like a failure. Then you're going to act like a failure, which reinforces your belief that you must be a failure. And then that leads to the results that you see in your life, right? So once you draw a conclusion about yourself, you're likely to do two things. Number one, you're going to look for evidence that reinforces your belief. I mean, think about that in today's world. You look for the evidence that reinforces your belief. And number two, you discount anything that runs contrary to your belief. So we shut things out and we only bring in what feeds our belief system. And if our belief system is holding us back, we might want to change that up. So remind yourself that you don't have to allow those beliefs to restrict your potential. They can open your potential. Just because you think something doesn't make it true, right? So ask yourself, what thoughts are not serving me? What thoughts are holding me back? Did someone say something to me as a child or in my lifetime that I adopted as a truth? And maybe it's not a truth, right? Maybe we heard something that was negative early in our lives, but we've just assumed that that's truth, but because we don't pay attention to it. So if we look for evidence that reinforces our belief, then you want to shift your thinking and look for evidence to the contrary. Take note of times when your beliefs were not reinforced. Think about those times when you believed something, but it wasn't a truth, and acknowledge exceptions to the belief to remind yourself that maybe not all our beliefs, maybe not all the things we're saying to ourselves are absolute truth. So let's say if you decide you're too shy or you're too afraid to call a customer, just pick up the phone and do it. That's the best way to challenge your beliefs. We really want to challenge that. With practice, you really can train your brain to think differently. And when you give up those self-limiting beliefs, you'll be better equipped to reach your greatest potential and achieve those goals and those dreams. So I'm talking about changing your thinking. Well, great. That's awesome. How do you do that? Right? If it was so simple, why wouldn't we do it all the time to serve us? Well, I want to share with you a meditation exercise that I recently did that was so powerful to me, and it was eye-opening. And I'm going to ask you to write this down, and I'm going to repeat it a couple times so that you can get it down. During this practice, it was a guided meditation. We were asked, if God were to ask you a question concerning your desire to move forward in a specific area of your life, what would he ask you? If God were to ask you a question about a specific desire to move forward in your life, what question would God ask you? It's kind of a different approach to it. So through this prayer and meditation time where I did this, I heard loud and clear, Denny, how are you getting in the way of you moving forward? I mean, I was like, oh, wow, okay, well, let me think about that. Let me pray about that. And I had to really go deep into journaling and prayer. And I'm going to share with you part of my answer. And you got to be really honest with yourself. If God were to ask you a question and you were listening for that question, you want to answer that, right? So for me, what came up is fear of failure, fear of being rejected. And that's more in alignment with a calling that I got about 1.5 years ago to write a book that I've been collecting information on, but I haven't started writing. This fear of being rejected, fear of believing, fear that's coming from believing that I'm not enough. Believing, this was a big one, that my past failures define this moment and my future. You guys, that blew me away when all of this came forward. And I know as God was guiding me in it. So it's a powerful question to ask. So how do you change your thinking, your feelings, and your actions? Well, there's 4 different steps I'm going to share with you. Number 1 is very simple. Pay attention what you're thinking and you're saying to yourself. Ask to be guided in that awareness. Just say, God, please bring it forth for me. Remind me when I'm thinking of something or I'm saying something to myself that really isn't serving me or anywhere else. Wear a bracelet to remind yourself, right? To think about your thoughts, to pay attention to your thoughts. It all starts with that awareness. Listen to what you're saying and thinking. We receive so much great training in Juice Plus about listening to others, don't we? I mean, ditch the pitch. That's the basic element of ditch the pitch, is we learn how to listen to others, but we're really not very good at listening to ourselves, especially the things that we're saying that hold us back. So number one in changing your thinking is pay attention. Number two is you want to challenge your beliefs. Challenge those things that are holding you back. Do little experiments that test how true your beliefs really are. If you think you're not good enough, do something that makes you feel worthy. Go out and serve. Pick up the phone and call somebody who's hurting. Talk to somebody that you haven't talked to in a long time. Help out a friend who needs your help. Help out a parent. If you serve, you're going to feel worthy, I promise you. If you've labeled yourself too wimpy to step out of your comfort zone, force yourself to do something that feels a little uncomfortable, right? If you just don't want to pick up that phone and call the customer because you're afraid of what they're going to say, pick up the phone and call the customer. I promise you, it will move you out of that thinking if you challenge your thoughts. Third is I am statements. These are very powerful, and I've done these for years, but I didn't do it in 2021, and I'm back to it. And I'm just going to share a couple of the statements that I use. I am love. I am joyful. I am peaceful. I am confident. I'm attracting like-minded friends, customers, and team. I am grateful. I am fluid. I'm promoting easily with Juice Plus and having so much fun and joyful energy. I'm authentic. I'm supportive of others' needs. I'm a loving wife, mother, sister, friend. I'm connected deeply to God, and I listen to him. I'm trusting in his plan and his calling. I'm exactly where I need to be. I am an author. I am an international marketing director. So bring your goals into it. And then finally, the last way to change your thinking is positive affirmations. And the ones that I have right now were really coming off of the exercise that I shared with you. If God asked you a question, what would it be? So I'm sharing just a couple of my affirmations and how they go back to that question. But my obstacles are the foundations to my success. That's so powerful to me. My obstacles are the foundation to my success. My fears are a call from God to heal with courage and trust him. I have everything I need to face any obstacle that comes my way. My past pain does not define my present and future blessings. So these are all things that I've done recently, and they're powerful, and I did them in 2020 and things were good and I got off track with them. And so I just share this with such a heart to bless you, to think about these things, to bring them in, because I really think they're going to bless your life too.
Wow, Denny, so good. Thank you. I just want to keep hearing you talk about this, which is so good. Thank you. And I know this is so much a part of who you are. And yeah, I can't think of any better person just to share on the mindset. And the mindset is crucial for moving forward and in life and our business, right? So it's just all woven together because our business is our life. And so it affects everything. So thank you. Thank you. I'm so grateful that 2021 is different for you and you're putting that into practice. That's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah.
Good. Well, I just want to say Happy New Year, team. We are just so grateful for each one of you, who you are, the difference that you're making in the world, the fact that we get to be on this mission together, the journey together, and especially at such a time as this. I can't even begin to tell you, I don't think I've ever been so excited and passionate about our message of hope. And there are just so many people just waiting to hear from us. More than ever, people need this message of hope and a capsule, and the Tower Garden, growing your own. There's just so many challenges in life right now. I just was reading about the Great Resignation. So many people are quitting their jobs, and it's just a hard time. And yet we have something in our hands so beautiful and so powerful. So just a reminder that we are in the prime of the year. I know it's hard to get out of the gates. I'm having a hard time too. It just seems like, the holidays went so fast. It feels like quite a blur. But at the same time, this is a season where people are establishing their habits and resolutions, and they want to be healthier. They are looking for prevention from the many things that are out there, right? Looking for wealth, looking for that extra income. So I just want to encourage you, just ask a lot of questions, talk to people, find out where they are, what they are looking for, and then enter in with, just like Denny was talking about, courage. Even if you feel uncomfortable, just step through that, because we've been given a gift, but so many other people would love to have this gift and they just don't know about it. So along with having a right mindset, we want to make sure that we have a vision about where we're going in life. And so, it seems a little cloudy out there right now for me, but I still feel like my purpose is even greater. And, just to pray and think through where I'm headed has been something that I've really gotten away from. When I was going to National Marketing Director, before reaching it, maybe a year out, I was doing some coaching with Catherine Lee. Many of you guys know Catherine Lee, and she really challenged me to see that having a vision is in fact income producing, because I kept saying, Catherine, I just want to do the work. I just feel like to pull back and cut out pictures and put them on a board. It didn't speak to me. And she said, Wendy, it needs to speak to you. It really does. If you really want to move and see a large amount of change in a short amount of time, you need to believe that this is the fuel. This is the focus of all of the other connections. They go hand in hand with your passion. They go hand in hand with being dedicated to doing the tried and proven system. And so we have the tried and proven system, but if we don't know where we're headed and we're not really moving towards a goal or having vision about where we're headed, it's going to be challenging. It's going to be challenging. And to be honest with you guys, I haven't had a vision board for a while. I was telling Denny, I feel like I've lost vision for the vision board. And so I'm doing one again. I really am passionate about getting back on track with that. So I know that this is the vision part of it is what helped us just cross that line to get to National Marketing Director. And I'm just so grateful. But then I've been I was looking back at kind of my words for the year that I've had in the past. And under one of the years, I think it was 2012, I had put down 39 clubs. So I'm still looking at 39 clubs. So it's fine. I don't beat myself up about it, but I have lost vision. I haven't done a vision board since then. So just to encourage you to, sometimes we get away from the things that matter, but this does really matter. It's one of the most critical tools that for our success. So it's, losing sight, so to speak, no pun intended, is, it's going to challenge us even more. So think about these words that have to do with vision and see if it sounds like it would be beneficial for your business or for you as a person. When we have vision, we have clarity, we have direction, we have enlightenment, we have focus. How about God's abundance for our lives? Just tapping into, the Bible says a man without a vision will perish. Well, then a man with vision, it seems as though, would flourish, right? So what about the abundance of that and the power and the potential of a plan and blessings? Don't we all want those things? So if you're saying yes to that, then I want you to really I want to encourage you to really, do a vision board. Some of us could jump on a call if we want and do it together. I know we're kind of scattered, but so I just want to encourage that. And I've seen through the years in my life, as well as other people who lose vision for their business, I feel like they come and go, and I've done that. I feel like it's more of a hobby. I was often doing that towards the beginning, not very focused on my DMO, not doing three-way calls, complaining. So that's what happens when we lose our vision, and it affects our passion and what we're doing and our why. So to help determine where we might be, John Maxwell has a book called Developing the Leader Within You, and he's broken down 4 different types of people and what stage they're in. So the first one is the wanderer, people who never see vision. They just, doesn't matter. I'm just going to do whatever happens in the day, and no vision whatsoever. We don't want to be a wanderer. Followers, people who see it, but they never pursue it on their own. They're just looking to other people. And so, I was there for quite a long time too, just watching other people, but not stepping into it myself. Achievers, people who see the vision and they pursue it. So we definitely want to do that. We want to see it and move in it. And then leaders, people who see it, they're pursuing it, and then they help others to see it as well. We don't want to keep something good to ourselves, right? So if we're seeing the value, we want to teach our teams, and we want to help our teams to have that vision. So I know that we all have our word for the year. Hopefully you do. And unmute yourself. I would love to hear what your one word for the year. First of all, if you don't know what that is, we encourage every year a word that you kind of use as a filter, or you just have it as a focus in that year. And it's something you tend to want to bring more of into your life. And in doing so, you know that you're going to have greater abundance. It's a characteristic maybe that you want to grow in, the kind of person you want to become. Maybe there's something you admire about somebody, but you know that you're really kind of lacking that characteristic. Maybe you want to bring it in because you see somebody else's joy and you're like, boy, I just don't feel much joy in my life. So maybe it's that, but you pick a word, you find quotes, scriptures, whatever it might be, and then you add that to your vision board. So there's a lot of ways that you can do these vision boards. Denny's going to share with us, but I wanted to start out hearing from a few people. If you'd like to share, just unmute, and we'd love to hear from you.
My word is transformation.
Yes. Why'd you choose that, Pam?
Just because I've really seen the power of renewal of the mind and spirit, and just the transformation of me, my responses, my excitement. And that's what I want to carry through this whole next year, is to just really transform into that joyful person, into that leader, and just become who I can be.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I love that. I've already seen so much transformation. So the fact that you're desiring more is just so awesome. Yeah. Thank you for sharing. Appreciate that. Somebody else want to share?
I'll piggyback, because mine's joy. And just, it's just, I feel like the last couple of years just sucked the joy right out of a lot of people, myself included. And so I just really want to find that again. And I know that Juice Plus and sharing this and building those relationships has always brought me joy. So I just want to get back to that place.
Thank you for sharing. It's been a hard couple of years for sure. And you just see it in people. You see a heaviness, and yeah, so that's beautiful. Thanks, Holly. Anybody else want to share?
Go ahead. Who else?
You, Lori.
Oh, okay. Mine is mindfulness.
Okay. Why'd you choose that?
Well,
Love that
to
word.
be more intent about what I spend my time on, to be slower and take time and really create worthwhile visions rather than just jumping like I can do.
Yeah.
So,
That's great. That's great. Being more aware of your thoughts and your actions, and being present. I love that. I just saw Henry said inspire, and Denny's is love. Anybody else want to share? You can go ahead and type your word there if you'd like, if you have one. Mine is actually, it was going to be joy. Holly said joy, and I'm like, yes, boy, that should be it. But I actually had quite a few words and I could not determine which one. And then I rested on wisdom. And I just want to grow in wisdom. I want to grow in understanding. I want to grow in pressing in to God and what he has for me and his wisdom, and just have a humility about growing this year. So, and needing him. So surrender, Elizabeth. That's awesome. Pursuit, Christy. Savor, Katie. I love it. Oh, thanks for sharing, you guys. So good. If you don't have a word yet, it is really, really good to do. Last year, my word was flourish, and it really, really came in handy with what was going on. And I read some books on flourishing and what that meant, and just staying grounded and established, and my roots growing deep so that I would be able to flourish. So it's just, yeah, it's just neat to have that. Sharon is focus, loving transformation to renewal of the kind and spirit. I love it. Beautiful. Faith, Janet, that's awesome. All right. Thanks for sharing, you guys. It inspires us to just also see what you're doing. I am enough. I love it. Flourish. Awesome. Good. Yay. So fun. Well, I asked Denny to share. Before you share, real quick, Denny, I just wanted to say, a portrait of a vision board. I loved this example. I think this was in a John MacArthur book also, but every great vision has certain ingredients and that are important to think about. You don't have to, but if you think about a horizon in a beautiful picture, the heights of possibility, a sun, the warmth and the hope and the light coming into it, mountains, every vision has a challenge. Climbing a mountain is hard. So, what is the challenge? Birds, capturing freedom of the spirit within that allows us to soar. Flowers, refreshment and rest stops. A path that's going to lead you on the direction. And you being on the boards, with your word, with all of it, but being present to the board as well. So Denny, I'd love for you to share.
Okay, well, first I'm going to share the board that I did for 2020. And I didn't do it last year. I got lost last year. I mean, I can see that now. I didn't know it then, but I really did. So this one I did on a foam core board, and I used Hodgepodge to glue all the magazine articles, and I printed some things out and then glued them down. And then I put Hodgepodge over the top of it so that it wouldn't peel. So I don't know how much of this that you can see, but it's still like really pretty solid. So that's one way to do a board, is to, and you want your word to be on there. It's to have, a physical board. And this year I did something different, and I really, really enjoyed this process. Let me see if I can screen share. Okay, so this year I did a board on Canva, and I know many of you use Canva. And so this, I just did a poster format. They have vision board formats, but I found them to be very limiting. So I just did a horizontal poster, and it was so much fun. But, a lot of this stuff, my bird, water, there's mountains, Wendy, everything you were talking about, I didn't even know about that. But just having on your board reminders of what to do. Now, what I'm going to be doing with this is I'm going to take it to a printer, and I'm going to have the printer printed out for me, and I'm going to put it in a frame and hang it up in my office. And what I love about this idea is if I want to add to it through the course of the year, I can, and I can just print it again, because it's only going to cost a couple dollars to print it out. So and just sharing a little bit of what's on here. I had a hard time last year, and this quote really spoke to me. In the depth of winter, I finally learned that within me there lay an invincible summer. And just to be reminded that I can shift that and to be the energy I want. And my husband and I are planning a trip to Costa Rica. This hawk down here, oh my gosh, God reminds me all the time he's with me when I see them. The water really speaks to me to remind me to go with the flow and to be fluid. Love is my word. Trust is a really big part of that. Meditation is important to me. So all the things that you want to achieve, my goals are here. I want to be an IMD. This over here on the right corner was scary for me to do, but I felt like I needed to do it. And it's just a kind of pretend book cover of the book I'm being called to write. So I needed a visualization of what that was. And so I created that just to have it on my board. So that's, they're a lot of fun to make. I mean, I just sat and, did this on the couch and searched for all the things I wanted on there. So that's another way to do it.
Wow. So beautiful. So beautiful.
It's
That
fun.
inspires me. I told Denny I got all the magazines and purchased a bunch, so darn expensive. And then I started looking, I'm like, I don't see any words in here that are speaking to me. So I'm gonna shift, and yeah, I'm gonna do it online. I love that. Thank you for sharing, Denny. It's so beautiful.
Thanks.
I love your
Thanks.
board. So
Thank
you, it's so you. Which I guess is the point, right?
Right.
Where I see you going too. Okay, so that's the vision portion. You guys just consider, like I left a Voxer for our team, like on a scale of 1 to 5, where would you rate yourself with vision? Do you feel like it's up there? You've got good vision, or do you feel like it's low? So, and we would love to talk more about that with you. So just, be aware that we're available for that. Okay. The other thing that is really important is the why. Why we're doing this business, why we want to move towards that vision. We are only leaders as we have followers, right? So, and as we have followers, we want to be leading in such a way that there's transformation taking place in those followers' lives. And so they're going to be drawn to your why. So your why is what matters too. We want to follow people who know who they are, and we want to follow people who know where they're going. So that's bringing the why and the vision together, right? So many of you have seen the YouTube by Simon Sinek, Start With Why. And if you haven't, you can YouTube that. It's amazing. But he talks about the why being what is often missing in organizations. And because we own our own franchise, we are a part of a bigger company, it's very important for us as well. The consistency of what we do is important. The discipline of how we do it is important, but the most important piece is why we do what we do and having clarity around that. So knowing our why and standing confident in it frees us to be authentically who we were designed to be. And like I said, that'll be what attracts people. So leaning into your why is really about leaning into your heart, your values, your priorities, and showing up in life with clarity around that passion and purpose. For me, we used to do a 7 layers of why, and I still love it, so why do you want to do this business? Well, I just want to help people. Well, why do you want to help people? Well, I love making a difference in that way. I care about people. Well, why do you care about people? And you just keep stripping it back deeper and deeper, and to a place where I knew that this is a calling in my life. God has designed this for me, and if he's leading me and he's guiding me, who can stand against me? So it gave me a bravery and a reason to get up every day, a reason to push through the hard things. Because there's so many days where with everything going on in the world, I'm just like, oh, forget it. No, we have a purpose in what's going on today. So it's very exciting. So some of you might already know your why. For some, it's time to revisit your why. I know I've had to do that many times. And after every conference is really a great time to ask yourself if your why has changed. Because a lot of times we'll hear things at conference and we'll be like, oh, wow, that really resonates with me. I don't know about you, but Denny and I, the first conference she went through, we bawled the whole time. So, you're just getting in touch with that design of who you are. And so after every conference is a good time to just kind of revisit that. The Freedom Revolution, you just type in why, that A to Z search engine, just type in your why, and it'll come up. There's a worksheet there for you to do. Another important component is goals. Every journey starts with a goal, and that goal is really also critical for success. And you want it to be so powerful that nothing is going to stand in your way. So, just like if somebody has archery, they're doing archery and they're shooting at the bullseye, we want to know what that is. We have to see what that goal is out there so that we can aim. We have something to shoot for. And then we want to bring the bullseye closer and closer so that we can have a monthly goal and a weekly focus and just know what we're doing. It's so important. So it makes it a lot more fun if you know where you're going. It allows for more growth and contribution and fun. And I feel like when we have a goal out there and we're moving in it, we can kind of rest in that because we know what it is that we're going after. So there is a worksheet also at the Freedom Revolution site. You can just type in goal setting. And the 3 questions are, what would you like to accomplish in your franchise? When would you like to make that happen? And what are you willing to do to make that happen? So if I put out there 39 Club, when, I just have to have a date next to it. I haven't actually done this yet. So I'm feeling like you want it to be smart. You want it, we've always heard of SMART goals, really specific, very measurable, achievable. I feel like that's really important. Sometimes we put out there huge, lofty goals. We call them big, hairy, audacious goals, BHAGs. And then we can't reach them. It's just too challenging. And so we want to have success. So I think it's more important that conference to conference, we put out something that we really believe we can achieve. It's going to stretch us for sure, but we can achieve it. And we want it to be realistic and we want it to have a good time frame. So again, on the Team Integrity Facebook page, and Denny, we need to check on your page. I know I put out there the SMART goal process if anybody's interested in doing that. And then, just having systems in place, you guys, we want you to launch into this new year with these things that you're thinking about, that you're working on, that you're doing, that you're talking to us about. But the systems in place then is the action. We have all these things that are supporting us. And now we need to know, what does it look like to take action? What system is going to get me there? And so systems, like a lot of us have a system in the morning when we wake up. We have a certain time that we might do our devotions or our meditations. We have a certain time that, I get up and I get my coffee and then I do this and then I do that, so that's a system because it keeps you on track. I actually set a timer for my time and devotions because I don't, and I put my phone out in the other room. I don't want to be distracted. And that is a high priority for me. So it helps me with my entire day. So that's a system for me. A system, a lot of us are using this DMO planner. This is an incredible system. I had the other planner. It's the same thing, but I poured water all over it and it just puffed up like a big sponge. So I've got this other one that I just put into place again this year. And I just don't know what I do without that now. It is such a gift. And so if you're looking for a good way, a good system to keep you knowing what you're doing for the week and who to contact and who to follow up with and who to reach out to, and all kinds of other things are in here. Just know that that's a good one, but that would be a system. And then with that system, you're going to schedule in your power hours, and your power hours that's from the Compound Effect. That book probably made the biggest difference in my business. And I just love it. So but just scheduling in times where you're going to block and you're going to make sure you take action. So those are some ideas for systems. We're going to cover a few other things. Denny you're going to talk to us about how to reach out to people on social media.
Yeah, just really quickly. One of the things I started doing in 2020, which I got away from last year. Are you getting the pattern? Is that every time I would get a new friend and on Facebook or on Instagram, not so much on Instagram, but mostly Facebook, is that I would go to their profile page. I would look at their friends. I'd see who are our mutual friends. How do I have a connection to them? And then I would send them a private message saying something like, hey, Sarah, thanks for sending the friend request. I see that we have so-and-so in common. Have we met before? Just something that simple, asking a question, and it gets conversation going. And sometimes they totally ignore you, but sometimes it gets conversation going. And I actually had a woman that I connected to that way who became a friend, and she did her fast track QSC. So it is a great way to connect with people, to expand your market if you're into social media.
Mm.
And then I know Henry he is just so good at events, and he's great at understanding the power of them and why they're so powerful as a part of our DMO. So Henry, I'd love to turn it over to you.
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Denny. So I wanted to just keep it kind of brief, but share with you guys one of the, I guess, takeaways that I've noticed after using the DMO here is if I were to take one thing to focus on as the centerpiece of using that DMO every week is the events. I feel like a lot of us have, we really enjoyed getting together over at Wendy's house. Thank you again for opening that up during conference. And I think it was one of the things that made it so special was the fact that a lot of us felt disconnected. And so whether it's an online event or it's an in-person event, if you focus on the events as the centerpiece of your DMO, then inviting people to the events and following up with the people that come to the events and keeping top of mind of who does this upcoming event next week about Tower Gardens remind you of. It makes the verbiage easier to talk about, because it's around a talking piece like, hey, I thought of you because there's an event. And it's not like you're being manipulative or tricky or anything. It's like, literally, I thought about you because of this Tower Garden event. And so on my DMO, like, there's 2 events that I've whittled down each week to invite to, instead of being overwhelmed with our calendar of events that has like 15, 16 events for this month. We focus on, so the 2 events that I'm inviting to this week coming up are the Tower Garden for educators. That happens every 3rd Thursday of the month. And so it helps me to stay focused in inviting to that event for Tower Gardeners. And then people who I'm inviting for Juice Plus is the end of the January. The WOW is in the Y. It's the Wendy Campbell thing that she does with on Dr. Mike Ewald's Zoom line. And that happens every month, yet I don't invite people to it. So what's holding me back from doing that? There's so many events to invite to that I find myself kind of scatterbrained. But if I have those 2 events that are on my DMO to focus on inviting to, then it helps me streamline my conversations, my invitations, my follow-up. And so everything on the DMO is centered around the events that I chose. So I just wanted to share that with you guys, because I feel like if those of you who are just starting on a system, like, where do you start? And that's one of the places and there's no wrong place to start, right? There's no one right way. But I feel like starting with, these are the 2 events that I'm going to invite to, and then everything else starts falling in place.
Yeah.
So I just want to share that with you guys.
And just so you guys, if I could just tag on to that for a minute, just so you know, there's so many events, but we filter the main ones from Wendy Campbell, and then you choose, because we don't want to choose for you, because everybody has a unique group of people, set of people and friends, and we don't know what speaks to you. But so you take the ones that are, like, if there's 4 of them that have gone out in the last 2 weeks, you choose the ones that are best for you. So just so you know, we don't want to overwhelm you with too much coming through either. And yet that's the purpose of it, is for you to choose and then put it in your planner, which ones they're going to be. So thanks, Henry. That was so good. I love your Tower Garden in the back there.
Well, thank you, Henry. That was super helpful. I love that you brought the whole DMO planner into it.
Yeah.
And that was really great training. Now I'm going to turn it over to Lori, and Lori's going to share a little bit with us about how she uses 3-way calls as a part of her system. And she's super good at doing this.
No, thank you so much, Denny. Thank you, everybody. So basically, when I became a partner, I thought, I can do this my way. I can look at the websites. I can memorize the research. I don't have to take the time and bother other people to take time away from their business. That is how I saw it. I was very determined that I could be successful on my own and not have to worry about anybody else. I wasn't used to being able to depend on a team. What I've learned is, oh my gosh, when you bring that mentor or that sponsor into a three-way call with someone who will gain better insight, gain deeper, it boils down to like the deep meaning of things, and they can really get so much out of that. Always, also third-party validation, of course. But when you bring a sponsor who most likely has been doing it longer than you, has more experience that they can share with them, it makes the biggest difference. Oh my gosh, and I've had nothing but success when I've done it. And it's really a pleasure. It's a pleasure to be a part of this team, and I'm proud to bring them to the people that I have to bring them to. And so that's a big deal to me. You have to like and respect the people that you work with, and I do. And so I can count on, I don't have to worry. If I schedule a three-way call with any of my sponsors or mentors, anyone, I know that it is going to be something that I will be very happy that the other person, the mentee, will take value away from. Mm-hmm. So I had to step out of my own way and realize, guess what? Everyone is willing to help. Everyone's willing to support me. They're not selfish. They're not just worried about building their own customers and their own business. And coming from the corporate world, that was really hard for me to learn. So if anybody is not comfortable with that, remember that it's building their business too. And I just didn't ever see it that way. So it's not taking time away from their business as I thought it was.
Lori, can you share a little bit? That's so powerful. And I remember seeing the shift in you when that happened, and it opened up all kinds of doors for you.
Thank you so much.
How do you invite to events or to the three-way call?
Oh, to the three-way call, I just say, oh my gosh, I have the most amazing person that's my dear friend that can share so much with you about this. It would be my pleasure to introduce the two of you. Can we get a time together that would work for both of you? What are some good times for you? Let me look at Denny's calendar. Let me check with Henry. Let me check with Danette, with whomever it might be. I always decide the three-way person based on the personality of the person that I'm bringing to the call. Mm-hmm. I really analyze their personality quite a bit before I do that. And I'll even sometimes with my friends, I'll say, have you done strength finders? Gosh, what are your top 5 strengths? And if I hear that, then I'm automatically, oh, wow, okay, they're analytical, or they're a promoter, or they're, and I have a better idea of who to connect them with that they will really fit well with. But also I just say, I thought of you for events like we're doing this dream interpretation event. I said, I thought of you, like with my sister, I said, I thought of you because you keep telling me about these reoccurring dream you have and we can never figure out exactly what it means. We think so, but we don't know. And I said, and did you know that health plays a role in our dreams, in our dream life? She said, I had no idea. So I just try to feed into what will serve that person and not just push it on them, but say, I just think you would really love it because of this. And Denny and my sponsors taught me that that's what to do. But I feel much more comfortable with it now. Something happened in me that I'm just like, you know what? I'm having it. I'm having this event. If you want to come, great. If not, you don't have to. I'll invite you to the next one. I don't take it personally anymore if they can't make it.
Thanks, Lori. That was awesome training.
Sure.
And for those who are new, just when you are on an actual three-way call, you are the person who is bringing someone and you're taking them to your upline or whatever. You want to be sure to introduce that person and really put them on the moon, how you know them, everything amazing about them. And then just say, hey, I'm just so excited for you to meet Denny. And this is what I love about Denny. And you're just going to love getting to know her. And you really want to make it a welcoming place to be. And so just, be sure to be thinking about that as you're getting on the call too. It makes it go much more smooth and fires people up to be a part. So anything else? Do you have anything, Denny?
No, you were going to talk about calendaring your power hour and close us out.
Yeah, well, I did that. So yeah,
Okay.
Just make sure you have the power. And I would say those power hours are when I just make so many connections with people. You guys are, preparing for the call tonight or whatever it might be. And then within that maybe it's a 2-hour slot. I write in all the different things I'm going to try to get done and have a to-do list, but I'll plug that to-do into that hour or two. So yeah, so hopefully this has been helpful for you. Does anybody have any questions, any comments?
Do you want to stop the recording, Wendy?
Yes. Yeah. Well, first of all, Sandy Arnold is going to be our national marketing director. She's an international marketing director. She is going to be speaking on our next call, which is in 2 weeks, the 25th of January. And from 8 to 8:30, it's the national marketing director talking about their struggles and their strengths. And it's so good. It's so amazing to learn from these different leaders and what helped them get to that position. And so I hope you'll join us for that. I'm going to close off here.